What is up, red bloods and blue bloods? I am just a simple Newtype, and in this episode we are diving into the anime Rahxephon. This is created by Izubuchi, director of War in the Pocket and creator of Pat Labor. This is also produced by Studio Bones, who just came off of Angelic Lair and have yet to make Full Metal Alchemist. I always point people to this series who like Eva because I thought it was superior. But is it? It has been 24 years. Let's see if it holds up. So let's get into this. A pilot looks down at her watch. We see 2 different times with 2 different dates. Remember this for later. LV launches in a Federation fighter. These are inspired by Russian Su-47s. Kuon Kisaragi hears Jun Kunagi's music and says it is the Song of War. Our hero, Ayato Kamina, thinks all is well. He guesses, suggesting he knows something is amiss. He stares at a painting of a girl with a yellow dress. As he leaves his apartment, someone watches over him. Some G-men are also after Ayato. He hangs out with some classmates and they all board a train. The train stops abruptly, injuring most on board. Everyone is bleeding. There's a lot of focus on blood, setting something up quite early. Ayato opens up the train to see that it was a massive explosion. Something is attacking Tokyo. Observing Ayato is Haruka Shito. As Tokyo is being destroyed, he happens to run into the girl with the yellow dress. This is Reika Mishima, a classmate of Ayato's. Or is she? She is drawn to the singing. She says it is a dolem, or doremu is a play on do, re, mi. There are a lot of musical references in this anime. Tokyo Defense Forces never stood a chance. They are attacked by an Allegretto. The Allegretto is a dolem that defends the capital. These are controlled by Mulians, though it is unknown who it is bound to at the beginning of the series. It has a shield for defense and a rotating light emitter that rotates on the head. In musical terms, Allegretto means fairly quickly or briskly. The Allegretto can't sing without Olin. Ominous. G-men point a gun at Ayato. Is that a Walter P99? But he is saved by a Haruka. She kicks one man in the face and he bleeds all over Ayato. His blood is blue. She tells Ayato to come with her and she will tell him about the blue bloods. He runs away with Mishima on the train, which is heading to the Zephon Shrine. The Mulians send out Fortissimo. The Fortissimo is a dolem that resembles a tuning fork and attacks via sound waves. In the center of the Zephon Shrine is an egg. The Fortissimo shatters jets and buildings with its voice, including LV's team. Mishima begins singing to awaken Rahxephon. Rahxephon is a humanoid weapon born of an egg under Tokyo and is meant to be the spitting image of God. We will learn that this was designed to help retune the world. The golden ring symbolizes the sun god Ra, or Olin Tanatui. Rahxephon is connected emotionally, physically, and mentally to its instrumentalist, which is the pilot. Offensive capabilities include energy blades in the forearm and light emitters from the hands. Energy shields can be formed in the hands as well. This stands around 50 meters tall. Over Tokyo appears a giant mobile base. These are the Mulians. Federation fighters move in on what they assume is a dolem. Fortissimo sings towards Rahxephon, but it deflects that energy back towards Fortissimo, killing the dolem. Mulians refer to Rahxephon's instrumentalist as Olin, after an Aztec sun god. Rahxephon heads to the Ra room, where the god lays dormant until needed. Ayato is taken to the hospital where his mother picks him up. She claims there was no giant humanoid in the sky. There are no reports on it. Nothing. Is he the crazy one? After calling Mishima, Ayato's mother redials to find the number doesn't exist. Ooh, ominous foreshadowing. The students of Ayato's class wonder why they learn English if the West is completely destroyed. The world revolves around Tokyo. Ayato asks Mishima if she saw the humanoid in the sky. Mishima is the only one that seems to be humoring him about what he saw yesterday. Ayato gets a message to meet at midnight to know the truth. He meets with Haruka. He asks how many people there are on this earth. She tells him 6 billion, but he was taught that there was only 23 million. The dolem sings once again. Haruka loses control on her ship. It takes them to Rahxephon. Ayato can hear the song. His mother is working with Terra. She watches Rahxephon and is injured by the debris. Ayato notices that his mother bleeds blue. Maya, his mother, was waiting for this moment, it seems. She calls Reika Ishtii. Thinking that Reika is dead, Ayato rages and Rahxephon destroys Fortissimo. The world is shattered, and Rahxephon carries them out, including Haruka. Ayato wonders why the sky is orange. Haruka tells him that what he is looking at is Jupiter, Tokyo. It's where his entire world existed, but his entire world has been closed off and he has been lied to. The year isn't 2015. It is actually 2027. The next day, Haruka finds that Ayato ran away. A phone rings. He answers the phone to hear his mom, who tells him to not believe in the people from the outside. He eventually runs into Haruka again. He tells him that them getting out required work and was calculated. There isn't a way to get back in. They find a cat named Buchi. The two are eventually picked up by Haruka Haruka's people. She tells Ayato that she works for Terra. Kuan looks at Rahxephon and spots Buchi. The cat apparently breaks a treaty. They draw blood from Ayato to find that it is red. Commander Jin Kanugi suggests he set his watch to the real time. Terra categorizes Rahxephon as a Mulian artifact and calls it part. Elvi is mad at Haruka for losing his men for some dumb kid. Ayato meets with Kuan. Terra takes control of Rahxephon. They detect in his blood that he has Mu phase and think that he may be a Mulian. They keep him in a room designed specifically for Mulians. The alarms go off as a Dolem approaches. It is the Grave. The Grave is a squid-like D1 Dolem. This was sent out to retrieve Rahxephon, and the tentacles most likely are able to sense Mulians. Grave in music is the slowest tempo. Ayato can sense both time inside and outside. Rahxephon activates. The tentacles of the Grave penetrate the ship. They seem to be going for Kuan. Ayato sees Mashima. Kuan can see it too. He suddenly appears in Rahxephon. Grave shows off its lips. But the Rahxephon decides to rip the Dolem in half. When Rahxephon returns, he is welcomed by Itsuki Kisaragi. Ayato has a similar birthmark as Kuan. He is mad at everyone for using him, but Itsuki breaks the tension. He happens to be Kuan's brother. We are introduced to Sayoko's boobs. Then we are introduced to Sayoko. She is Itsuki's assistant. Haruka orders a beer even though she already has one. Terra is trying to tap into the heart of Rahxephon but fails. Don't block the holes. Is this an anti-personnel luggage? Watch out for your ankles. Just kidding, she's smuggling the cat, but can you imagine? They are in Nidai Kanai, which are islands off of the Pacific where Terra's headquarters are located. He will be residing with Shogo, Rikudo, and Megami. Rikudo goes by Oji-san. Time for a little psychosexual tension between Megami and Ayato while getting some ramune. Oh, is this why I get an erection when I drink ramune? Did it all start here 24 years ago? Discuss in the comments. He learns this is Haruka's sister. When Haruka returns, he okaides and she tadaimas. He got a nice harem building here. Elvi wants to dogfight with Ayato. It's a metaphor for wanting her to stick his dick in her vagina. This anime becomes Love Hina for a moment. I love me some Love Hina. Kuan says, hey bro, check out my half-naked back. An ominous feeling is what you should feel from these two, but I'm getting sexy incestuous vibes if I'm being honest. Journalists are heading to Nidai. Ayato shows how he enters Rahxephon. They all clap, but no one knows how this works, including Itsuki. This is the first time he played Rahxephon without Mishima singing. Remember, a pilot is an instrumentalist who plays their robot god. Musical themes. After losing her entire squad in the first episode during Operation Overload, Elvi brings in the Alpha Squad consisting of John Patrick, Donnie Wong, and Kathy. Many of the journalists want to know more about what's inside Tokyo Jupiter. Shiro Watari seems to be more pleasant than the other Terra personnel. Rahxephon launches with the Alpha team. Suddenly, hundreds of Dotems approach them. The Dotem is classified as a D2 Dolem. It has average fighting strength and speed, but is weak and mainly designed to overwhelm the enemy. Ayato realizes he has a sweet shield. Someone sings. A D1 Dolem approaches. It is a Forzando. The Forzando is a mobile fortress D1 Dolem which deploys Dotems. It can carry hundreds, if not thousands, of Dotems. This can be seen also controlling clouds. In musical terms, Forzando means a sudden strong emphasis on a chord. The song of this Dolem stuns the pilots on the battlefield. Think the Alpha team are still technically pilots? Ayato is attacked by Nimbus clouds. Rahxephon uses energy attack from its hands. It penetrates the Dolem's shield and the unit falls in half. Part of it penetrates Rahxephon's shoulder. This will be used to make a new Dolem later. Elvi is disciplined for rushing in alone. Itsuka finds a crystal in the remains of what penetrated Rahxephon. It's time for a beach episode. Itsuka gives the crystal to Sayoko. It begins to snow. Way to ruin the beach episode. It's the first time it snowed on the island. It happens to be Christmas as well. Oh, it's a Christmas episode. So much is happening. Mami Haruka gives Ayato some gloves. Megami gives Yagumo a present, but she knows he likes Haruka. Meanwhile, Haruka is having thirsty dreams about Ayato. Sayoko's crystal begins to grow. She's consumed by it, and it grows into a Dolem Forzando. Forzando is a Dolem created from the Dolem crystal shard remnant. This assimilated with Sayoko, and is the cause of the snowstorm. Sforzando in music terms is a chaotically strong emphasis on a note. Terra moves into action. Ayato and Rahxephon head out to find that it has Sayoko. He doesn't want to hurt her. He takes a direct attack. For the first time in a while, Ayato sees Mishima. He gets his second wind and slices the Dolem in half. Kuan is naked for reasons. The snow goes away. Ayato was able to save Sayoko. Megami notices that Haruka gave Ayato a gift. I believe this is a gift from a boy she once loved mentioned in passing. Itsuki is running tests with Ayato and Rahxephon. Makoto Ishiki is an observer sent by the Earth Federation. He says that Ayato is useless, essentially. He is close to Itsuki, and we will learn that they were childhood friends. He then tells Sayoko to escort him out. Get the woman to do it. Doesn't matter that she's busy. Bro is starting off with power moves. Quan feels Ayato's heartbeat. Megami shows up for maximum awkwardness. They mention going to the beach tomorrow in front of Quan. Great, now you gotta invite the weird girl that dresses like a doll. That was a thing around this time. Anyone remember Rosen Maiden? It is the new year. Time for a beach episode. Nothing says beach episode like brutalist pyramids looming in the background. Ayato has a good harem going on. They note that he likes drawing Mishima. Haruka wonders where he heard a song that he is listening to, but doesn't elaborate. Ominous. Then he notices that Quan is looking at Mishima on the cliffside. She could see her. He goes to the cliffside with Quan to find nothing. Meanwhile, Makoto convinces Itsuki to be the instrumentalist for Rahxephon. Quan knows that Ayato wants to return to Jupiter Tokyo. They wander through a temple that seems to be connected to Quan's past. Sayoko wonders who Makoto truly is. While trying to control Rahxephon, a woman-like figure appears to Itsuki. The power goes out. Terra sends a search party to look for Quan and Ayato. Haruka finds the temple. A lot of symbolism to the gods of Earth. In this case, Ixtli, meaning face or eye. The journalist tells Haruka about the incident that happened at this temple in the past. It is where two girls suddenly appeared. It seems there is a connection between this world and Jupiter Tokyo in this temple. Itsuki wants them to call off the search. Haruka tries to enter, but her paths are blocked. Quan can see Reika Mishima. She calls her Ixtli and says that Olin is searching for her, which is weird because we eventually learn that Quan too is Olin. We learn that the pilots are called instrumentalists because they are supposed to tune the world. Existence, as you know, is nothing more than a god's instrument. She sees a black egg hatch, and we see two kids at the temple. Quan is one of the girls who magically appeared here decades earlier. The temple doesn't accept Haruka, and she cries. Ayato just pops out of the temple. Quan pops out as well. Suck it, Haruka. Maybe embrace God. You ever think about that? Ayato says that he saw Tokyo Jupiter, but came back here because this is where he belongs. Ayato starts humming that song again. The song seems to be connected to this world. Meanwhile, Sayoko and Makoto seem to be working together. They're also having sex. This episode starts with Terra and Rahxephon attacking a dolmen called Larghetto. The Larghetto appeared over the Pacific Ocean and has a total height of 328 feet. Something Japanese is in feet, not meters. Interesting. In musical terms, Larghetto is a slow tempo, but not as slow as a largo. It is usually 60 to 66 beats per minute. The music throughout this episode is a larghetto. Most episodes, the dolems and the music match the soundtrack. Rahxephon and the Alpha Squadron take out the dolem in less than 30 seconds, reminding you that this show is about your sexual desires and your relationship with God. Soichi Yakumo is Operations Vice Commander and takes over while Kunugi heads out for a joint operations meeting, as well as personal matters. Megami wonders why Quan calls Ayato Olin. Don't we all wonder? Quan plays the violin. This show leans heavily into the idea that music helps plants grow. Kunugi runs into the journalist. He knows of the Great Mu War Joint Memorial Service Preliminary Meeting. That's a mouthful. We learn a little bit about this world. American troops stationed in Japan were the first to attack the Mulians. That one attack apparently reduced itself to a shadow of its former empire. They were implying that America attacked first and made the Mulians an enemy, so humanity punished America for their actions. They all pinned the blame on one person. They made him activate a bomb without knowing it was a nuke. This person was Kunugi. Elvie says it's time for our date, Ayato. I guess it was Megami's turn in the first act. For her date, they run training exercises in the simulator. Kunugi meets with his estranged wife, Mariko. She tells him that she is leaving Japan and changing her name. She gives Kunugi their daughter, Michiru's final music she wrote. He says he is too dumb to learn how to read it, a metaphor for their relationship. Their daughter was killed in the nuclear blast. Kunugi killed his own daughter. We see a bird in Kunugi's office at the beginning of the episode, which is also named Michiru. Oh, backstory filled with remorse. A man plagued with making the wrong choice. Great character setup, and the journalist and wife isn't ham-fisted. Kunugi shows Quan his daughter's music, and she plays it on her violin in front of her grave. It is also her birthday. This is an emotional moment and all, but I just want to say that Kunugi is Goto from Pat Labor if Goto tried too hard. Unlike the last fight that was easy, this new dolem that appears is giving Ayato a hard time. Here's a shot of Rahxephon and the dolem being angelic and whatnot. This dolem is called Vivace. Vivace stands at 377 feet tall and has a female figure. This This consumes one through hallucinations. Vivace means a happy and lively world, and is supposed to reflect an ideal reality. The Dolem consumes Rahxephon with its rings, and the two disappear. Ayato is back in Tokyo hanging out with his friends. While hanging out, he starts to reject the world. He then runs into Haruka. He knows this is all just a dream. Haruka wonders what the difference is between a dream and reality if they both feel real. Giving off Cypher and the Matrix eating a gross piece of steak vibes. Let's bring it back to anime cliches. Ayato thinks about touching Haruka's boobs, so he does it. He tries to run away from his sexy thoughts, but the Dolem says no. You think about these sexy thoughts, damn it. Throughout all of this, we get flashes of the moon behind the Dolem. Ayato then goes home. The outside world tries to communicate with Ayato through the news on the TV. Kwan consents Ayato still. His mother tells him that he is Rahxephon's true instrumentalist. She says, let's explore this Oedipus complex a little further. He says that she was never there for him when he was younger. That's not sexy. He runs away from his mommy issues to find Reika. He wants to go back to the real world. She says, have you thought about getting that dick out of your mouth? And then she pulls a dick out of his mouth. No, just kidding. It's a conductor's baton. But can you imagine? She uses it to raise the Rahxephon's cockpit. Ayato regains control of reality and blows up the Dolem like a balloon. He then rips its wings in half and punches those pretty lips. Itsuka is having tests done on Kwan. Ayato visits Kwan, who still has not recovered, it seems. Sayoko tells him to kiss her. Ayato's just been through some stuff. He doesn't need to kiss a coma girl. He isn't Shinji. Bokoto refers to Kwan as the original M-type. Oh, that's a lot. He and Sayoko are also hooking up, and Haruka spots them. Sayoko says, you better keep your mouth shut and not tell Itsuki. Ayato thinks about that time he touched Haruka's boobs in his mind, and he makes it awkward for the two. There's a lot of imagery in this show where people stand behind angelic wings. The Babin Foundation is coming to check on Kwan. A man is spying on an excavation site. In a shot, we meet Ernst von Babin, the head of the Babin Foundation. He is informed that it is almost time for Kwan's awakening. I'm not even going to address the fact that Babin is holding a child clone of the woman he is talking to. Nope, just moving past that one for now. The Alpha team gets a visitor. Meanwhile, Ayato talks to the journalist. He knows his mother is involved with the Mulians. The old man shows Ayato's mother with the old defense force. Kwan wanders away from the medical facility and finds Reiko. She shows her life, the universe, Mulians, and of course Rahxephon. It is a lot to take in. Reiko says it is time for her to use her instrument. Kwan tells Ayato that she learned that she too is Olin. Terra notices a Dolem approaching, so Haruka goes to get him. She says that Kwan is missing and not to wander off alone. When Ayato looks back, the Kwan he was talking to earlier is nowhere to be seen. The Alpha Team sorties. Before launching, Ayato looks back at Haruka as if to say, I'm not afraid of your boobs anymore. A black egg calls to Kwan. This black egg will come into play at the end of the series. Though one egg hatched already, so you could probably put it together. This Dolem is the Falsetto. The Falsetto is a mushroom-shaped Dolem standing at 393 feet tall. Underneath the mushroom cap is a female figure. In musical terms, falsetto often translates as a false voice. A vocal technique that allows singers to perform notes ordinarily out of their natural range. Ayato can hear Kwan singing. The Dolem tries to swallow Rahxephon. Kwan tells Ayato that they could do this together. She yearns for the black egg, but Ayato stops her. I guess it isn't her time yet. I'm curious how this series plays out if she hatches the egg right here. Ayato saves Kwan and does a sweet key blast right in the Dolem's face. Ayato is sad. Is this about the gloves still? Or are the gloves a metaphor for being the second best in someone's life? The woman from last episode with Babin is named Helena, and she is his niece. She knows that Kwan has been awakened already, and they are lying to her. This was Sayoko's doing. They draw blood from Kwan, and it is blue. Haruka tells the journalist, whose name is Joji Futagami, that the Babin Institute is going to take Kwan. In exchange, he tells her that her uncle once had a daughter. Rikudo is both Haruka and Megami's uncle, and Megami and Haruka are stepsisters. I don't know if I mentioned that. Being a retired archaeologist, perhaps he knows of the appearance of the girls from years back. The Alpha Squadron are testing out the new Vermilions. The Vermilion is a mass-produced Dolem created by the Babin Foundation. They are able to take down enemy Dolems no problem. This also has the Trans-Dimension Drive, which allows the unit to enter Jupiter Tokyo. The design is inspired by Rahxephon. LV's unit is red. Watari mean man? No, Watari like cookies. Helena doesn't refer to Ayato as an instrumentalist. LV calls Sochi a hypocrite for not wanting to use the Vermilions. He accidentally lets slip that Ayato may be a Mu. Ayato overhears the conversation and runs away. LV goes from wanting to have sex with Ayato to going, that blue blood bitch. I'm xenophobic now. He feels lost and doesn't know who he is. There's no time for feelings. A Dolem alert just showed up on my pre-smartphone smartphone. Soichi suggests that he is too much of a sad boy to help out on this one. The location is an underwater city, which is a really great set piece for a fight. Too bad reality will be altered and it won't matter. The Dolem is called Alternate. The Alternate are two separate Dolems that are perfectly in sync with one another and can coordinate attacks. They can distort space and reflect attacks back at the enemy. They can also trap opponents in a reality field like Vivace. Although he feels he is being used by everyone outside of Tokyo, he decides to pilot Rahxephon simply because he can, and sometimes that is all that is needed. Rahxephon fires light arrows, but he has to work together with LV and the Vermilion. The Dolem tries to capture them in a field, which shows a different reality, but LV blasts anyways. LV says, I don't like you anymore, I'm racist now. Ayato then sees Reika Mishima. She says that he has yet to attain Yoteoro, an Aztec concept that combines heart with the spirit to find a true connection to the universe. He wonders who she is. She says she is Reika, she is Ixtli, and she is Ayato. Rahxephon is now being controlled by Reika. It fires at Elfie. The light arrow bounces off the Vermilion and shatters the field and hits the Dolem. Ayato wasn't in control, but to Elvie, she just saw Ayato try to kill her. Well, now she's really racist. A bright light emits, and suddenly, time moves backwards. Earlier, Itsuki and Makoto argue with one another about Quan. We return to before they argue. Elvie is the one to take out the Dolems this time around. She doesn't need the help of Rahxephon. Helena notes that the battle was 38 minutes, but Haruka says it was only around 20. Helena is the only one that seems to notice the time shift. Also, Ayato breaks the mirror. It was a dumb metaphor 25 years ago, and it's a dumb metaphor now. This is a post-Matrix world, baby! This episode is a flashback. 3 kids head underground. They find a rock Dolem monster thingy, but the kids are caught. They're punished with a good old-fashioned caning for going where they shouldn't. We learn that the young girl is Helena. The teacher is a young Babin, who looks exactly like Makoto in the future. But in fact, the long-haired kid is Makoto. Babin tells him they are the chosen ones. Makoto is upset because he is referred to as a D, or D-ranked instrumentalist. The butler detects an earthquake. Why does the artwork get so surreal in this one particular shot? The kid with the glasses is Itsuki, although they never outright say his name. He and Makoto visit the Dolem egg whale thingy. It makes whale noises for some reason. They don't tell Helena, but she follows the boys. The Dolem responds to Makoto's voice. Helena says she is going to destroy whatever that thing is, and she ain't taking smack talk from a D. A B is talking over here. Orphan boys hope to one day find their parents, not realizing they are in an orphanage, so they probably weren't wanted to begin with. Cliche. That cliche hits deep. The kids look for rocks to feed the beast. Helena makes a spell and rips off a lizard's tail for an incantation. She wrecked that lizard. The Dolem reacts to her. She tells the butler, who sends in men. It seems the estate has just been watching it, but now the adults must take action. The boys want to stop them. The estate's army try to destroy it. Itsuki and Makoto want to free the Dolem, but as they escape, Babin and his men surround them. They fly away, but the Dolem breaks apart. As it falls apart, we flash back to the past. We learn that Makoto is a clone. He has the same face as Babin, so take a guess. We could probably assume the teacher is a clone then. The Dolem broke apart. Also, I'm calling the pebble a Dolem, but Babin says that they can't survive outside of the mansion's bubble. And why did you fire on it? You could have just waited. Babin cuts Makoto's hair. Back in the present, Itsuki, Makoto, and Helena meet. They wonder what they should do with Ayato. Makoto casually mentions sending him off to a concentration camp. So those exist out there. He also says Ayato can't be a mate. Oh, they have sex camps too? They're also taking Quan to the Babin Foundation. Watch out for that cane. Megami says she isn't attending her promotion party. Ayato yells at Kanugi about hiding the fact that he is a Mulian. Watari is in the room and meets Ayato for the first time. He brings up his son, but Ayato says his son doesn't matter right now. This is what we call foreshadowing. Haruka wants to know about Rikudo's daughter. He says it is like the Bamboo Princess. This is a reference to Takatori Monogatari, a story about a baby found in bamboo who later attracted suitors. She gave them all an impossible task and was revealed to be Kaguya Hime. If you know Princess Kaguya, she comes from the moon, and like the princess, Rikudo's daughter one day left. Okay, vague-ass boomer. It's implied he's totally in on everything happening around the shrine. Megami has a crush on Soichi, but she finds out that he is dating Kim. Sayoko says screw you to Makoto for using him. Here's your trashy dress back. Megumi is promoted but is sad because of the situation with Kim and Soichi. Kim apologizes for not telling her, but she actually seems over it. There's a lot of angst in this episode. Ayato is still upset over being a Mu, while Megumi is struggling to understand love. She mentions that the two are alike in many ways. Both are trying to find purpose. Man, imagine you break out of the Matrix and you're an angsty teenager. That's 2 problems you have to solve. Ayato takes out his anger on Haruka for all the lies. She feels helpless. Moon. Ayato returns home to find Kwan. She tells him that she is Mu as well. Itsuki isn't her real brother. She tells him to go to Jupiter Tokyo with her. He decides to return to Tokyo. After getting answers, he will decide if he will stay with the Mulians inside or return to the outside world afterwards. Haruka gives him a good old bright slap. She says she will return and is certain he won't betray her trust. Megumi is trying to contact Ayato. Oh, she has a new love target. He and Kwan take off. Rikudo asks Watari if it was wise to let him leave without telling him anything. Kwan tells Ayato that the Mulians are human. Terra sends out the Alpha Squad to intercept Rahxephon. They are charging Ayato with treason. Makoto says that he is not human. Someone's lying. Haruka joins Elvi and her Vermilion. On top of a mountain is an Allegretto calling to Rahxephon. Elvi stops Hayato, but Haruka comes on the comms and tells him to keep going. The Allegretto attacks. Yo, the Vermilion did a backflip with Haruka in the storage. Her brain should be scrambled from that. Time to harmonize. They are able to break a hole through to Tokyo Jupiter. The Allegretto takes down the Vermilion and bails. Haruka and Elvi decide to use the trans-dimensional drive unit. They use the field to break through to Tokyo, but are instantly met with a dolem. Many of these are hovering throughout the city. This is the D2 dotum called the metronome. Metronomes hover above Jupiter Tokyo, functioning as sentries. They may or may not be responsible for keeping the Tokyo citizens in a lucid state. The metronome is considered a dotum and are designated D2 by Terra. Ayato wakes up in a medical facility with Kwan. The staff doesn't tell him too much. Haruka and Elvi go on foot. Haruka mentions this used to be her town. While being questioned, Reika appears again. She shows Ayato what his mom is doing. Just a little voodoo magic. Elvi and Haruka wonder why the people aren't bothered by the dotums in the air. Elvi also wonders why she is pursuing Ayato. She just says he is important to her. Cut away, the viewer can't know too much. Kwan wants to hear Maya's voice. Just a little improv voodoo, no need to question this. I assume it's the Mulian language. Her outfit had a life module, which they removed, which is why she is bedridden. Ayato sees his old friends. It only has been a month in Tokyo, but it has been 6 months on the outside. They don't seem to know who Mishima is, but this triggers Hiroko, and she remembers something. But her memories are fleeting. Ayato does something that he probably should have done outside of the bubble. He makes himself bleed. His blood is red. He asks his mother Maya who she actually is. She cuts herself. Her blood is blue. Ayato begins to panic. Haruka admits to Elvi that she loved Ayato. Hiroko says, oh no, I have blue blood. She and Rahxephon can sense Ayato screaming. He's still dealing with his mommy issues. Rahxephon moves on its own. The dotems try to stop it. People within the city aren't fazed by the giant tokusatsu battle happening. We see that Masayoshi Kuki is working with Mamoru. We saw Masayoshi in the first episode. He was also the Japanese Defense Force officer who told Kanuki to drop the nuke on the city. Reika tries to stop Mommy Sun Time. Kwan sings and the Moos send out Falsetto and Allegretto to deal with Rahxephon. Throughout this episode, Ayato has been withering away. It seems that 2 Moos have been keeping him in a lucid state. They try to crush the god with the power of sound, but the Zephon sends out a scattering light beam. It takes out Falsetto, and with it, it's Mulian. So she just disappears? How does this work? Those connected with the dolems die. Foreshadowing, Maya mentions that they were only able to salvage a few Moos. But they are human. She confirms with Ayato that he is indeed a Mulian. He tells his mom to wear that Mulian dress. Let's add a little race play to our Oedipal play. No, I don't like where this is going. Hiroko visits Ayato to find Mamoru with the military. She realizes that he was deceived by Hiroko this whole time. You gaslighting bitch! She smacks him in the nose and he bleeds blue. As she runs away, one soldier puts a few rounds in her. It's just off camera too. So nonchalant. They do this to hide that she has blue blood, but it's so weird. Maya speaks in broken Esperanto, which sounds like me when I try to make videos during Anime Expo weekend. Ayato heads to Rahxephon. Haruka runs into Maya, who realizes who she is. She runs away. Ayato finds Hiroko bleeding blue. She says, my blood is red, right? Yep, that's red all right. She wants Ayato to take her with him back outside the bubble. Kwan forms her egg, but she still isn't ready. You tease. Ayato gets back into Rahxephon with Hiroko, and they bail back out of the bubble. Suck it, Haruka, his supposed lost love. Elvi gives Haruka a nice bright slap to bring her back to reality. Now that he is out of the bubble, Ayato wonders what he should do with it. Haruka and Elvi return to the outside to find that Ayato didn't return to Terra. In a small montage, we brush past the fact that Hiroko essentially just had her world turned upside down, and he tells her about life and time outside of Tokyo Jupiter. Hiroko is too scared to face the fact that her blood turned blue. Ayato and Hiroko take a train to Kagoshima. Everyone is looking for them, including the reporter Futagami. Ayato needs time to think, so he takes a part-time job. Days go by, and Hiroko still hasn't told her of her blood. Lost, a feeling of emptiness and a lack of purpose. For a moment, Megami and Ayato shared this loneliness, but was cut short by his escape. Now he finds that shared loneliness in Hiroko. Suddenly a dolem makes its appearance. It is vibrato. This seems to have control over electronic devices throughout the city. Vibrato in musical terms means rapid variance or vibrations of a pitch. Ayato has been running, but he realizes that he needs to fight to protect Hiroko. He promises that they'll have a long talk when he gets back and to wait for him. As it sings, it connects to Hiroko. Even though connected to the dolem, she must tell Ayato the truth. He fights to protect Hiroko, now realizing that he is killing her. He defeats the dolem, and so too Hiroko. Her last message to him is goodbye. Futagami finds Ayato with Hiroko's body. The two are eventually taken in by Helena and the Babin Foundation. Makoto calls him trash and tells him he is only alive because he could pilot Rahxephon. They have a new cadet. It is Reika, but she goes by Haruka. Not confusing at all. We saw a flashback earlier of a younger Ayato with a girl that looks like this version of Reika. Remember that for next episode when we stop beating around the bush and we do a Rich Evans-style explanation of everything. The two bridge boys that constantly have been falling in love with every girl they work with is Gomi and Yamoda. Yamoda is abandoning the Quan ship for this new Haruka. Also, it's interesting seeing men instead of women on the bridge. Gundam would never. Elvi and the Alpha Squad member Donnie Wong have a moment. She has a handkerchief that says Bunga Mawar, which is rose in Malaysian, so she is Malay. While walking home, Ayato runs into Momoru. How did you get here? He just walked through the bubble, don't worry about it. No, but seriously. Alright, I know most of these snacks, but what are these rock things? Kanuki calls Rikudo sensei, so he was probably once the commander at Terra. Rikudo isn't bothered that Ayato is a blue blood. That is because he had a meal with him. Moos are human, and having a meal with them shows he is human like the rest of them. Perhaps Kanugi should do the same. Megami says that it doesn't bother her that he is Mulian. Megami doesn't know he just went through some stuff. She is much like Hiroko. Even Mamoru notices this. Makoto says to Haruka, "Smash?" She doesn't respond. Makoto tells Helena that things are going according to Keikaku. Time for a beer. A dolem approaches. Elvi stays behind while the Alpha Squad launches. Donnie Wong asks Elvi out after all this is over. He's gonna die. This is the first time we see the Alpha Squad's units. They take on the Obligato. The Obligato has blades in the fingers to slice through vermilions. This is the most powerful dolem in terms of fighting, and is linked to Momoru. It has a third arm in the chest. This dolem flies on top of another dolem called the Brillante. Obligato in musical terms is an essential instrumental part in a musical composition that cannot be omitted or altered. The Alpha team is on the defensive. Ayato gets into Rahxephon and swiftly eliminates the Brillante. Elvi wants to launch. We see that it is Momoru controlling the dolem. The Obligato uses its blades and slices a vermilion into tiny pieces. Well, there goes Donnie Wong. There is a pun wrapped into a metaphor here. Like with Hiroko, Ayato wants to protect Momoru. To protect in Japanese is Momoru. However, the burden here is that death comes every time Ayato tries to Momoru. Rahxephon fires a light arrow, but it hits another dolem that blocks Obligato like a shield. Terra thinks the dolem is eliminated. Momoru reveals his intent is truly evil in nature. Well, obviously, the Alpha team mourns the loss of Donnie Wong. Elvi takes a sexy sad shower. What am I supposed to feel here? Haruka talks to Reika about wanting to help Ayato, but then we see that she is talking to herself. Reika is Haruka, as the show has been trying to hint at. But Reika is more than just Haruka, and we will learn of Ixtli's true purpose next time. Makoto has officially taken over as commander. He says it will be his first and last operation. They plan on destroying the bubble. What are you trying to convey with me putting angel wings behind this asshole? Soichi explains the zero-point plants, which seem to function like the Vermilion's trans-dimensional drive system. They will strategically position the zero-point plants, and with the power of Israel, they will implode the bubble from the inside. Kim is feeling sick. Did someone put a baby in her? Old man Babin says to Kwan, "Alright, show Grandpa what you're working with." He is looking at her tattoo. She calls him brother of Nakal. Nakal? Nakal, which is a pseudo-archaeology originating from a book called The Lost Continent of Mu. Oh my god, the ancient aliens guy in the memes were all a blueprint this whole time. We didn't listen. Mamoru keeps bringing up Hiroko. Makoto comes over to talk more trash to Ayato with Reika, and she senses Mamoru. He also knows she is Ixtli. Sayoko gives Ayato a ride and snaps at him. This is kind of out of left field, but someone had to emotionally bright slap him because he's being very dense. Itsuki tells Ayato that Haruka is sad because of one man, not realizing that he is that one man. Ayato is being blissfully ignorant in this episode, frustratingly so. Itsuki calls Ayato his older brother. He too has the runes tattooed like Ayato and Kwan. I like how they tell you the exact answers you were looking for, but now you have more questions. Mamoru meets with Kanugi. People just kind of meet in this show. He mentions that the Zephon is designed to tune the world, and once this happens, it will be given the title of Ra and become Rahxephon. We call it Rahxephon and will continue to do so, but it hasn't ascended to Ra yet. Like Reika, this show removes Mamoru during the conversation to make you wonder if Kanugi is talking to himself this whole time. Mamoru finds that Ayato has Hiroko's notebook. Time to beat up some women for revenge. He lures Megami out. When Ayato finds them, she confronts him about Hiroko. He is working with the Mulians and Maya, but ultimately he is frustrated because Hiroko loved Ayato and not him. Megami calls him a coward, so he punches her in the face. Mamoru says that Ayato can't Mamoru. I get it. There will be a day when Ayato must abandon being a human. Helen begins Babin's plan. After watching that flashback, we can assume there's many Helena clones. Kwan has a device around her neck as though being controlled by Babin. Babin and Helena don't seem to be taking Makoto seriously. I'm glad no one likes this asshole. Makoto fires Haruka for making a sweet meme about him. What a weak clone man thingy. Suichi is standing behind an angel with one wing. Nothing to read into there. He's fine. Everything's fine. Megami and Ayato make up. About what? Who knows? Probably the tension between the two. This should be a let's be friends moment and forget the past. But the phrasing is awkward. We don't see who Ayato is painting. Megami grabs Haruka's old stuff and is given a book. Her curiosity gets the best of her, and she sees that it is her and Haruka. So Ayato was painting Reika, who is ultimately Haruka, and even her stepsister didn't even know what she used to look like? Looking at this picture solidifies that she has no chance with Ayato. Girl, you have bad luck with men. Itsuki once told Ayato that cherry blossoms are blue outside the bubble. He tells this to Kanugi, who laughs at him. He says Itsuki was messing with him, but this laugh shows Kanugi is still human, whatever that means in this universe. He also tells him that without Haruka, he would have probably been executed a long time ago. We learn that Watari gave the black egg, meaning Kwan, to the Babin Foundation, and he seems to regret it. Old man Babin is the one who put her to sleep. Watari is purposefully being obfuscated in terms of purpose here. Yeah, but why is Watari? We learn that Sayoko killed her parents. It seems that Babin tampered with her memories, and she struggles to understand anything because something is missing. This explains her constant outbursts. We will learn her love for Itsuki is also fake. We get two offhanded comments here that the show breezes past. You have to be 17 to be an instrumentalist. And Rikido mentions that Ayato's time as a human is almost over. Ultimately, they are saying that shit is about to go down. Ayato and Haruka have a moment. Alright, enough of that. Let's destroy this bubble. Terra fires the Israel cannon. The bubble disappears. Ixchli appears in front of Kwan in the form of Ayato in the same way that Reika/Haruka appears to him. The form that Ixchli takes is one's true desires, so Kwan wants Ayato, I guess. Kwan activates her egg. Still hasn't hatched it though. Stop teasing everyone. Unlike Kwan, Ayato seems to be rejecting Reika, which is why he sees a different face. Ixchli and Kwan became one. So too must Ayato and Ixchli. But he rejects it because it shouldn't be Reika. It should be Haruka. Once combined, they become Yoteoro. Suddenly, the moves begin multiplying everywhere around the world. Soichi relieves Makoto of his command with Terra. He apparently let Makoto go through with it so he could entrap him for disobeying protocol. Soichi, you clever one-winged bastard you. He demands to know where Haruka is. But they say there has always only been one Haruka. You would think that this means that Itsuki, Helena, and Makoto were probably once instrumentalists that aged out of the role. But even if it were, it won't play any role at the end. We see Helena projecting herself as Babin onto Kwan. Moves appear all over major cities around the world. Kanugi returns to running Terra. The Mulians are merging with the entire world. It seems that Tokyo Jupiter was more of a prison. The Mulians demand that the Zephons be handed over to them or they will attack. These demands are made by Masayoshi Kuki, which we must mention is the great Hochu Otsuka. That's Gavin Gooney and Jiraiya. They prep for a giant dolem heading their way. Everyone evacuates Nirai Kanai as Itsuki leaves. It is revealed that he too has the same painting as Ayato. The dolem Largo begins its attack. The Largo is 1.6 miles long, and its underside is a giant missile launcher. This dolem is bound to Kuki Masayoshi. Largo in musical terms is a very slow tempo. These two are never getting laid. Reika is with the crew as they evacuate. Elvi tells that dum-dum Ayato to be with Haruka, but she isn't around, it's just Reika. Oh. Konugi stays behind and pilots unmanned Eidolon fighters. Kuki haunts him like a ghost. Mulians and humans exist in 2 different dimensions, so they appear as ghosts. Or keeping with the musical themes, they are tuned differently. Apparently, the entire town of Nidai Kanai is a freaking giant AA gun. Konugi fires on the Dolem, but the Dolem destroys the island and every setting you learn to love over the course of this series. But before Konugi is blown to smithereens, he activates the Jupiter field. A bubble appears over Nidai Kanai, killing Konugi and Kuki. I imagine if you're caught, you get ripped apart because of time displacement between 2 dimensions. After beating around the bush for so long, Ayato finally accepts Ixtli. It means he could protect Haruka. Maya says goodbye to Rikido. She then visits Kwan, her sister. Maya and Kwan are the 2 girls that come through the portal, and Maya is the daughter Rikido was referring to this whole time. We learn that the journalist Futagami is actually a part of the Federation's intelligence agency. Itsuki reveals that he and Ayato are brothers. Kwan is their biological mother. She wasn't awakened like Maya, which is why she looks younger. Okay. Nakal seems to be the creator of a god, but was eventually pushed away by that god, and assumingly came to Earth. So when they mention that the Mulians are humans, they are, but they come from descendants of Nakal. Now that's a cool tea party. Ayato and Haruka dated when they were younger, but because his reality is shaped by the inside world of Tokyo Jupiter, he doesn't remember, but he finally accepts Haruka for who she is now, not Reika, the person she was in the past. The 2 kissu. Finally, the Babin Foundation launches in black dolems called Schwarzers. They seem to be on par with the Vermilion. Dolems begin wrecking Terra. Remember, the Vermilions are controlled dolems, but the enemy dolems activate the Vermilion and the dolem from within bursts out. Oh, I love when anime goes full Cronenberg. There goes Kathy. Helena tells Ayato that he needs to put the Ra into the Zephon and tune the world. Elvi takes down an Allegretto, but the rest of the Alpha Squad is dead. Ayato gets into Rahxephon. Helena tells Itsuki, yo, we need to get out of here. We learn that Watari is Ayato and Itsuki's father. Okay, but what else do you do? We see Rahxephon's true form now that it has attained Yoteoro. Elvi returns and launches with TDD missiles. After launching, Soichi and the crew are attacked. She shoots time bubbles at the Moos. Time to do a little singing. Momoru fights Rahxephon, but he needs to get on his level. He's a god now. The god sings and everything around it is destroyed, including Elvi. Makoto goes crazy, then begins shooting people before running into Babin, Helena, and Itsuki. Makoto kills Babin, but he is shot as well while being called a filthy D. I learned nothing from this character. Ayato says, "Sup, I've ascended to godhood. My life bar ain't going down anymore. Anyways, I'm out of here, everyone. Bye." At that same time, Kwan goes full Yoteoro as well. She hatches her Zephon and goes straight to god mode instantly. The 2 gods face one another. Haruka is sad that she has lost Ayato once again. Sayoko stabs Itsuki and instantly regrets it. Helena tells her that she was programmed to love him. Learning of this, Sayoko kills herself. Haruka tries to be there while Ayato is retuning the world, and she ends up exploding. There goes the supposed love of your life. There are moments when we see Helen as Babin. He seems to be a descendant of the Mu who came tens of thousands of years ago. It seems Babin chose Helena to be the next Babin vessel. Even though Babin was shot, he lives on in Helena. It appears he also just kept the D's around for insurance, as Helena was always meant to be the next. Haruka seemed to have transcended because she talks to Maya. She hates Haruka for coming into Ayato's life. "He's my little Oedipal boy." On a TV, Ayato sees Megami, Elvi, Hiroko, and Soichi, characters that he connected, bonded, and grew with, showing that this is what matters in life, for both human and Mulians. Oh, also 2 gods are fighting while this is happening. But this isn't about giant robots fighting. With the power of love, and thanks to Haruka, Ayato overcomes Kwan and resets the world, killing everyone in the process. Before we dive into the coda, let's try to make sense of any of this. The Mulians are an ancient race that came here long ago. Nakal is the descendant of Mu, which constantly clones himself to live forever. Helena was always the chosen child out of the 3, and Babin kept the others along out of pity. They had nothing to do with being an instrumentalist. Somewhere near the end of this series, Helena became Babin, aka Nakal. The Mu exist in a different dimension in which time moves differently. Some descendants of the Mulians go through a move phase, which changes their blood blue. The world trapped Mulians into a bubble in Tokyo, and they have been trying to get out to achieve retuning. It is unclear if the Babin Foundation and the Mulians were working together to achieve the same goals. Though we know Maya was working for herself to kill Red Bloods. Maya and Quan magically appeared on Earth as chosen ones. Before them, Babin was the only true Mulian. Maya was raised as Rikudo's daughter, and Quan was kept asleep, which is why she is younger. Once Maya experienced the Mu phase, she joined the Mulians. Since Mulians have been here for ages, any human can be a Mulian so long as they activate their Mu phase. Maya was married to Watari and is actually Ayato's aunt. Quan is his real mother, and Watari is his dad. Not confusing at all. Itsuki and Ayato were probably created while Quan was asleep. Not gonna think too much about that. Ayato and Itsuki are twins but are time displaced. Maya took Ayato and raised him inside Tokyo Jupiter. Ayato lost his memories of his childhood and teen years when he met Haruka. Yoteoro appears as the thing you desire the most, so a younger Haruka appeared before him in the form of Reika Mishima. Babin wants Quan to retune the world, and Terra seems to be trying to prevent this. Babin tries to control Terra and the Federation, but even his power only extends so far. While Quan tries to retune the world, Ayato steps in and stops her. Ayato then ends up retuning the world in his own image. In this process, the human world and the Mulian world became one. Does that make sense? Is anyone still here? Alright, let's move on to the prologue. The world has been retuned. Ayato and Haruka are married, and they have a child named Quan. Not sure if this is Quan, or they just had a kid named after Ayato's mom. Ayato is an older man now, and he looks exactly like Itsuki without glasses. Mamoru and Hiroko are alive. The two stare at Ayato's painting of Haruka. We flash back to the past. Haruka poses as Ayato draws her in the yellow dress. Even after losing his memories, the fragments of Haruka in the yellow dress helped pull him out of his bubble. And that will conclude Rahxephon. This was one of my favorite as a kid, and I must say, it doesn't hold up as well as I remembered it. The problem comes in the characters, as this show wants to be a mystery, but it also wants us to empathize with our characters. The problem is, empathy is hard without understanding, and withholding details makes your audience less empathetic. I think the mystery still holds up, though we now live in a post-Lost world, and it's really hard to get people, even myself, motivated to watch a mystery that consumes your time and attention in this manner. One thing the show handles spectacularly is teenage frustration and sexuality. It's emo at times, but it treats characters with respect instead of having your main character jerk off into his hand. Although this is a very confusing show, the emotional core of the story is still solid. A woman uses the power of love to help the main character break out of a false reality. Throughout the show, the bond between these two is apparent, and it never lets you forget this is about Haruka and Ayato, even if Haruka took the form of Reika for most of the show. This is absolutely still worth a watch in 2026. We often compare this to Evangelion, but the real influence for the show is Raiden the Brave. Perhaps one day we will cover that. However, we are probably going to stay here in the early aughts, as our next non-Gundam coverage will be Argento Soma. This is another show I loved, but unsure if it holds up in modern times. But that will do it for now, Blue Bloods. Remember, even when you forget, true love remembers. Peace.